with Sam. You don't want to share the ideas, then
I
we'll
can
carry on talking.
I can
Please
share
go for it. Go for it. Go for it, Jody.
I so for me for self love, I mean it changes day to day. You know, it's like dependent on the kind of my mood. Like you know, really, Christina great said it great. She said it's giving yourself grace when you mess up, cheering yourself on, and being kind to the parts of you that are still figuring it all out. And I think she said it perfectly. I think when you come to a point where you are not, um, you don't feel any sort of shame about who you are, and like because that's you, and like you don't put on like you know a face over what like actually is you, and you're able to share that with confidence. It's really a life-changing thing because so many people are, you know, they're trying to kind of be different than actually who they are inside, or like keep struggles hidden. And I think it's a really important that you acknowledge that, at least to yourself or your dog or something. I don't know. Like, I just that like you can be okay with that. That's like I don't know. And I mean, if you really like are struggling, of course, like it's a hard not to want other people's like appreciation or attention. Like that's natural. Like we're humans, we're social creatures, and but like when you get to the point where you're like, fuck it, I am getting Dairy Queen for the next 5 nights in a row. That's all I'm gonna eat. Like, and you're okay with it, then that's some self love. I mean, like
I wonder.
taking a good bath, self love.
I wonder. I wonder. I'll take the no regrets. The not beating yourself up.
You'll be
I'll
okay
take that for
with
sure.
who you are.
But I don't think that means we just let it go. I think there's look,
No,
there's
you don't let it go. I
proper
think that
conversation.
like natural curiosity, like and education adds to life all the time. It's always changing, and so that's a form of my self love. But I really do think that if people are embarrassed of like things they've done in the past, or they don't feel equal and another human's eyes, like then you're not giving yourself enough grace and love. So that's just my take. Okay, I'm definitely not a psychologist.
No, W take. W take.
Look, it's me and my
We'll
dog
take
in jail together.
we'll take it. I want to get to Felipe's comment. I don't know whether this is it. So
I like this one though. This is really important. This comment she just said. As someone that's mixed, I like
which
this
one?
one.
Sappho's one? Sappho's one. So she watched a
Yeah.
slow motion animation sketch about colorism and self hate, which is I guess is a exact opposite of self love, right?
Yeah.
Interesting thing. It starts off like the self love conversations. It starts off comical, and then it ends up as something deeper. We'll get to the deeper bits. I hope so. I hope by the time we do it, right? By the time we're done today, for sure. Nah,
I
Jeannie,
do have,
go
I
on,
do,
Ronald.
yes, I have a comment because I'll be bailing in a minute, but I'm primarily on here because of my workaholic background. After some 30 some years of working, I finally burned out, literally burned out. My cookies got frosted, and I resigned 2 weeks' notice. But I realized that I was a workaholic. I was a human doing and not a human being. And then just listening to you today, I want to verify that I'm now living not a reactionary, I'm living an intentional life, intentional where I will set my priorities. My wife is setting hers, we're setting ours, and less reactionary.
Mm.
to finally take the reins of our life. And our hashtag is never too old, never too late. And that's the essence of what I'm sharing here.
Yeah, no, I think that's genius. I think that's important, right? I think living the life. I mean, for me, again, to build on what you're saying, Ronald, living life on my terms, my terms. You see, when I was younger, I used to have to conform. You talking about this the other day, weren't you, Sean? When we meet expectations rather than living our lives, right? I used to have to go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. God, I hated it. I'm nocturnal. Now I work all night, every night. I don't care. No one says me before lunchtime, my time. If you try and meet with me, you're not going to meet with me. I won't be there. I'm saying literally, I live in his life. I still get my work done. I still get everything I need to get done, right? It's in my time, and it's my choice what I do when I do it. I'm not saying I've got clients. They can be jailers. Put it like that. As you're saying, Ronald, they can hassle you so much that you get all frazzled. You get burnt out, right? But I refuse to let that happen to me. Everything is
Yes.
any time, and there's now an any time in the ENY time is any time, my time. Don't like it, unlucky. You're gonna get any time anyway, right? That's my
I
idea.
mean, uh, congratulations, Ron. Good job. Yeah.
Thank
Take
you.
care, bro. Take care, my friend. Thank you for
Thank you
Good
joining.
very
job.
much.
Good
And God
job.
bless you all.
That's
God
it.
bless you.
Devon,
You
I
gotta get
love
to
that.
it,
Never
bro.
too old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bye.
yeah. The man's fascinating. Connect with him for sure, and you are going to get to meet him a lot more as we go forward. Anthony, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Have a conversation without you. I would have felt like I was
I
cheating, right?
know. He's
But you're
he's
here.
just so smart. He's really smart. I think that,
No,
like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, people say, they said, like, you wrestle with, like, when you're fully, like, loving yourself, like, is that narcissistic? I definitely don't think that. I think it's, like, honest. It's honest because if you're projecting really who you are, then that's all you can do. And if you're feeling yourself, then good. Like, that's a real, that's a good thing. But I think that you should be able to look in the eyes of any other human and be like, yeah, like, this is my life. Sure, I was raised in this type of family. I have this color skin. I have fucked up so many times. I am divorced. I fight in court over my kids. I mean, like, honestly, it, when you look at someone who is really accepting of all of their struggles and, like, puts it out there, uh, even if they think they're pretty cool, they feel okay with that, then that's like a form of self love. So,
see,
for me,
I think there is. I let Felipe's comment deliberate on screen because it makes a point which I think is important in the self-love conversation. It says if you can go to bed at night knowing you did your best that day and treated people with respect, even when you didn't agree, then you did well and you feel good about yourself. Now, is that part about treating others with respect, not trampling on others on your way to your joy? So Jonah, I hear what you're saying. I don't want a pedophile coming and say, I'm happy with myself. No, you're not. Yeah, you don't have self-love. You can't have self-love if you're hurting others.
you
Maybe I'm
can.
wrong.
I don't
Can
think you
you?
can. You
I
can't.
agree with you.
It's like
Sure.
part of self love is
Sean,
appreciating
where's
others'
his
differences.
word stops? Like let's hear from Sean. Mike, you're on the stage, man. Come on. I want to hear more from you as well, Mike. Go, Sean.
On that topic, here's the thing: narcissism, egotism is elevating yourself above someone else.
Mm.
Self-love is I have value, I have worth, I am fit here as much as you do and anybody else. the fact that you even question, oh, is it bordering on narcissism or egotism? You're probably not.
Yeah, you
If
miss
you're
the point, right?
questioning, like if you're asking that question, is this getting narcissistic? No, it's probably not, because narcissists and egotists, they don't care.
Mm.
They um they're going to, they rise up by pushing others down.
They're missing the
Self
empathy.
love is, talking about my song, it's called The World You Shape. And it's all about this. It's all about, like, you are worth the space. Every single one of us is worth the space. And self love is owning that. Like, I deserve to be in that room as much as anybody else in that room. Every person here, whether they're in the audience or they're up here on the stage, you all deserve to be here. As you were sharing, Annie, you missed that call. Obviously, there was something you needed to get from where you were at instead of the other thing.
Yes, with you. That's why. That conversation
And
was a
yeah, as I put in the comments, it comes down to need. Every human behavior is meeting a need. Sometimes it's meeting it in a very positive way. Sometimes it's, if someone smokes, if someone's egotistical, they're trying to meet a need. Yeah, self-love is foundational. It's knowing who you are, as everybody said before. All the scars, the bumps, the bruises, the failures. I like the way Samuel put it. It's a failure. But the problem is we go, instead of I failed, we turn it into I'm a failure. Instead of I made a mistake, I am a mistake. There's our problem. Self-love is like, I know who I am. I love who I am. I love the way you put it, Annie. It's, one of the things that really taught me to love myself was becoming a father and knowing that unconditional love for some human being. It really cracked me open. But self-love is knowing yourself, making yourself better, because if you love someone, don't you want them to get better? If they make a mistake, if they fall on their face, you want to help them get better. But it's also refusing, now that you know who you are, it's refusing to betray who you are once you know it. I'll pass the mic.
yes.
So I have a question about that. So since you're a father, is it not self-love to love your son or daughter more than you love yourself? Or is that a part of self-love?
Hold on. So now, before I let someone know, if anyone wants to answer that, then please do. My YouTube friends, I love you. So thank you for being here on YouTube. Please, do like today's video, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already, right? So thank you. There's 5 people there, and I'm blown away. So anyway, who wants to answer Sam's question?
I mean,
So
when you become a parent, it's like you die for your children. You die. You would die. You just die. Like it would. That's a normal human response to becoming a parent. But they're there to live their lives and learn self-love. So you have to also do your own thing. Like you do. And you have to model that so that they have a basis for understanding how to like self-love themselves, like not be like some materialistic queen in high school. And it's true. Like I sang in a band. Like I will take a walk by myself. I'll cook dinner that I want to cook, not chicken nuggets. So I self-love and show them that I'm okay. with all of the failures, I still choose to be me, just me. And I think that's important a lesson to learn for a lot of parents. A lot of parents just are like, kids, 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 kids. And no, you can't really be that way.
But
Yeah,
Joni, why do we have to love our kids?
because they are.
I don't know. It's inherent.
don't.
It's inherent. I
We
love
do.
them.
We do, but we love them. They
No,
don't
we
have to.
don't.
No, we don't
If
have
you
to.
have to, if you
Yeah.
have
You don't
to,
have to. It
it's
just
not
comes.
love.
You push
Love
them out of your
is
body,
a verb.
and you're like, oh my god.
No, darling, I think it's a natural thing that we love our kids. It's just it's innate. It's
It's
innate.
It is natural, but it's
Don't think about it.
it's a decision.
I think
It's
it's
innate.
For
Is
most
it
people, I don't
innate
think
or
it's
is it cultural?
I
I,
don't
I,
think it's a
innate.
decision for most people.
I think it's
Like,
innate.
I don't think it's taught. I think it's innate because it's
You know,
an extension of you.
I agree with you, Sam, because I think even when we look at the animal kingdom, we see
Yeah.
that animals love their offsprings the same way.
Some animals kill their offspring. Anyway.
Very, very
But
few.
that's
Mike.
cultural, though.
and their mate, like the praying mantis, eat the head
Okay.
off.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, Eni, but some of it has to do with my definition. I wanted to expand on it. So I actually built 3 parts. The first is self-love includes being authentic, transparent, and empathetic. We all want to be seen, heard, and valued. We need to do that for ourselves and others. Self-love involves recognizing your fundamental worth and connection and a connection to something greater than your individual ego or personality. It does not depend on outside stimuli. It is my belief we have a divine purpose. Living out that purpose is the definition of self-love. It is our highest calling. We love ourselves when we love another. And I think the point I was trying to make was, as parents, we're greater than our individual egos. So we have a higher calling to family, to raising those little kiddos to be full blown responsible adults. So we're giving ourselves to something higher outside of ourselves. And it's almost a paradox in that giving we receive. I also think, by the way, we also have to, at least I know I have to practice receiving love as well. Again, for myself and others. And that's a form of self-love is learning how to receive.
Yeah, I think that you've covered the spectrum very well there, Mike. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you. Anthony, please feel free. Anyone who waves their hands at me, I'm like, yeah, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I want to. I think there is a aspect of loving children that should be deliberate, where you consider if you were to make yourself 10 times better than you are now, and think about how much you could give to your child. It's not just about feeding into them; it's to realize that you are part of the system, right? Like, it's natural that you're probably going to care for them more than yourself, right? Self-sacrificing, but don't self-sacrifice yourself to the detriment of what you could provide them, right? It's the idea of, like, making sure that you have enough in your cup to fill up someone else's cup, and finding that balance. I also want to address the failures part too. I think it's not just about calling yourself not a failure; it's about rewording it. So it's not I'm a failure, I failed. It's I learned something. I learned something new about myself and my interests, where I'm going, and what I can do to get there or not get there. And so, yeah, I think that's the better part. It's taking consideration for yourself.
I think on both fronts, I agree with you. I think failure is it's a concept. I think in pure self love, it is about learning and experiencing things and then moving on. Like I say, no, I don't live with regrets. I don't say I failed. No, look, I'm human. Every so often, there's always a tendency to when something goes wrong, you're like, oh, what did I do wrong? I always ask that question and say, right, here's what happened. and here's what I can learn from the experience. I think many of us, we default to fall back into, it's my fault. I'm awful. I'm not good enough. So that's not so. That's not self-love, if you ask me. But I think your point, I think you have to love yourself to give love to others, as Mike said. The best parents have real self-love, which is all the things Mike said. You have to work on yourself, find your own happiness, find your own joy, find the ways to overcome, I guess, the struggles that you might go through, right? And embrace them and learn from them, and then move on. With all that, we can love others. Sean, you're thinking. Well, Sean thinks. I can hear it. Go, Sean.
So we could do a 5-part series on this. Is love innate or cultural? Let me just say both and. Meaning
that's been a liberal. He's sitting on the fence, right? For one way or the other, Sean.
No, it's not. No, it's not about sitting on the fence. There is neuroscientific evidence, hormone influence that triggers the love and the closeness in parents. The centers of the brain activate when they see the baby. It's a biological, automatic, sympathetic response, or is it parasympathetic? I always get those two mixed up. But we don't need to get all technical. But it is also culturally influenced. If you look at the way parents in the U.S. interact with their children versus the UK or Uganda or here in Guatemala, it's going to be a little different. There is a certain amount of cultural influence. They're not islands. They're together. They work together to influence it. Here's a question. If you went to a restaurant and had a meal and it was the best meal you ever had, and they came out and they told you it was dog, most people would flip out. I would. I keep dogs as pets. I would not be okay with that. But in parts of the world, that is perfectly acceptable. In some parts of the world, probably even eating your young, as we talked about the animals, would be acceptable. So,
even with
it might be the greatest one.
But even
especially with birds, there's birds that will eat one of their weakest young, so that way they don't starve out all of their children. It's a miserable way to die, and that's real love.
That's real love, right?
The love of a father that can be the bad guy in a moment to help make their child someone who will be more respectable than them, be more capable than them.
If we look at,
that's why we're not birds.
And if we look at divine influence, if we look at divine purpose, divine influence, it says love your neighbor as yourself, for one. And Abraham, most people will recognize that Abraham waited most of his life for a child and then was told to kill him. How many fathers could say, you need to kill your only son to save the world? Not this father. As we said, most fathers would say, I'll stand up and die for my kid.
I would kill myself too.
Take my kid.
To save the world, I'm saying.
They're on their own, man. Most parents would say, you're on your own, man.
I can do it, but as long as I die too. But one thing. So this is silly. This is just silly. Okay, have you seen the movie The Birdcage?
No. What's that?
No one's seen The Birdcage? Oh my gosh. Okay, it's like Robin Williams.
Joni, I've seen it, but it's been so long I've forgotten.
It's been so long. I rewatched it It's amazing. And there's a line in it. He's like, "Oh, it's his Guatemalanness," and it is so funny, and I love it so much. And it's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's his Guatemalanness." It just you said Guatemala, so sorry. I had to bring it to life.
It's all right. It's fine, Janie.
Light
It's
comment.
hold on.
But everyone
Before,
should rewatch that movie.
before anyone jumps in, let's go to Calm. He's been on the stage for a while. He hasn't spoken, and I'll come to your question, Jeannie. I think it's a good question to ask. Mr. Calm, share with us.
Well, I was actually thinking about what Michael was talking about, and then got distracted by this thing called Guatemala. And I'm like, "Oh, what the heck? All right, but Guatemala. Let me not go into there. There's Guatemala that was mentioned, but there was also Uganda. Uganda was also mentioned too,
Mm.
and that's right. You know, um, the way we love our children is different. I mean, I don't, and I don't think this has got anything to do with self-love, but in a way, uh, because that I believe is kind of you displaying or showing um, intentional love or external love to somebody else, and making sure that they receive it and get it, as opposed to not getting it. Um, they've got to understand it, and that's the children. They got to understand it, and then they got to understand that's what it is. Then they got to then they've got to also duplicate it some way, somehow, somewhere in their lives, which they're going to be living it for the rest of God knows how many years, even beyond after you're dead. You're going to be living it, and they need to know what they need to know what love is, and get that from you. Get that from you, and that's and getting that from you. They need to understand how to love themselves. So watching you love yourself, in other words, watching you take specific actions to indicate that this is how you love yourself. Because I think Mike was right that love is a verb. It's not. It's not. I don't. I don't think it's a verb, and probably a noun as well. You don't. But it's more the way we interact with it. It's more of a verb.
Mm. I can't say I agree. I think love is a feeling. It's a more a noun in my book. It's a thing. Love.
Yeah,
On the other,
that's the one that you're talking about when you talk when you say self, when you have to have that when you're self-loving yourself, so that you
mm,
take specific actions to indicate or to show that you're loving yourself, and you accept them. And also at the same time, he says it was cultural, so also society accepts the way you're doing it, because I have seen people actually self-mutilate and call
mm,
that self-love.
yeah.
There are tribes that actually do that too, and that's acceptable in their societies. Um,
Don't
and
look at
and
me.
and 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 let's also go into yeah, because we can talk about circumcision and how that takes place. In some places, it's religious, and it's something you must follow, a deep cultural thing. In
Mm,
others, it's kind of like loving yourself because of health conditions. You
yeah.
do it because you need to be healthy. And in other places,
It's barbaric.
they do it. It's you think it's barbaric, but it's because of religion,
Yeah. Look,
um, and also
Yeah,
and
we
and also
talked
and,
about
and
that.
also culture.
you see,
Religion.
it is. here's the thing here in all of this, my friend. Self-love is about doing what is right for you, whatever that means. That's why I say that I get freaked out when I see all these strange people on YouTube eating lime and meditating all day and playing with beats. That's not self-love to me. And I'm planting flowers, and no, that's not my self-love. Eating meat's my self-love. Yes. That's drinking is my self-love. And I have no problem admitting that. If I given a chance, I would drink happily and be drunk.
Is it Johnny Walker or Black Label?
I'm not fussy. That's not got high alcohol content. I'm there, right?
And it's
I'm just honest, right? I'm saying to you, that's my idea of self-love. It doesn't make it wrong, but in the world of self-love, I think there is that I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm doing what's right for me. What makes me feel good? What gives me good health? What gives me happiness? What gives me joy? Peace of mind. Now, sometimes that is what culture might say is good. Other times, they might just think you're a freak and you're self-harming. You're self-harming, really. I'm saying defeating itself.
It's like saying that you don't care about the world, but you care about.
I really don't. I don't.
I think like defining what self-love is not is almost easier. And let me tell you, one person who does not have self-love is our current president in the United States.
Samuel.
No, can I just?
No, he actually does
and
have
now
self-love.
I'm going to say something.
He actually does have self-love. Otherwise, he would not be doing these things that he's doing.
I think he has
incredibly has love for himself.
Who?
Donald
Talking about Trump.
Yes.
Of course,
okay.
Look, he has an ego. Look, I'm looking at.
Can I
hold on, Jenny's question. Let's answer that in relation to Jenny's question.
Okay, but let me tell you.
Egotistical and narcissistic.
Okay, so I think he is
egotistical.
But I think Uganda has been brought up quite a lot in the news recently. Maybe that's why we had it on the top of our mind. But it's because, Garcia was protected with withholding of removal because he couldn't be sent back to El Salvador, and then he was mistakenly sent back. And now he's possibly going to be sent to Uganda, where they don't have that treaty with El Salvador, and then they're sent back to El Salvador. And it's actually it's a mind fact, like how we are treating people with our own government. And this person was granted salvation here, and they found a loophole, and they might send him to Uganda so that he go back to El Salvador and be killed. And I'm sorry, that's all.
Ridiculous.
It really is.
Can a mean person have self-love? It's a question we're asking, really.
Can a who person?
A cruel person, a mean person, really have self-love?
I would first say that cruelty is a lot of times it's a perception without full knowledge of what's happening, what kind of decision someone has to make. And when it comes to a self-love that I think would fit everyone's definition is discipline. One form of self-love is something as simple as, people will think to themselves, okay, I need to give myself a break, or I need to just relax today. I need to try and distract myself from this problem. But then through the distraction, all you do is you take what was, possibly you could have went in and put in an 8 out of 10, let's call it, worth of pain and solved it in an hour. But instead you suffer through a 4 or 5 out of 10 that recurs today, tomorrow, 365 days from now. You've put in far more damage on yourself because you didn't accept that discipline, that upfront taking account of what you know about yourself to be true. There's what you desire now, and then there's the ability to free yourself in the future. So I think that's a form of self-love. When we start getting into our perception of people and whether or not they have self-love. We want to say that, Trump doesn't have self-love or Biden doesn't have self-love or whatever, because they're in these roles that we have no clue. You have no clue what's going on. And at the end of the day, you say to yourself, oh, well, I would never harm people, right? You'd never torture people, right? But then if I told you, okay, well, what if, I don't know, for whatever reason, that was the only way you saw to protect your family from the same thing, and that was the option you were given? What happens when you find out that you were saying our government is doing this stuff and you didn't realize that it's not our government, right? Like there's places where, you put people and then you take the resources and you move them elsewhere. The people start fighting amongst themselves and they fight for resources so that way you can push it someplace else, because people didn't learn true self-love. There's like this one story that I heard about this. There was like these wolves, and there was this lion that was coming to the wolves. He would distribute the food for everyone, including a portion for himself. But then they started to come at the lion or whatever it was and demanding more, not understanding his perspective, what he was doing to acquire that. They just knew that they were doing more than what they wanted to do. So then the lion went to some other animal and was like, how do I handle the situation? So what they said was, instead of trying to distribute it for everyone, what he was trying to, do that seemed like a good thing, they said was to do is just to chop it in half, give it to the people. And what happened was, to the wolves in this case, and what happened was is that the wolves started attacking each other. It got to a point where basically the strongest of the wolves would end up getting all of what they wanted until they were, sufficiently full. One of the wolves ended up dying in the battle and then distributing it out that way. And then so now the lion in this position, who just wanted to try and do what seemed right, but doesn't have that perspective or that ability to communicate, ends up in a scenario where all the people are fighting with each other. And that was the solution that they decided to come together with, because if all the wolves came after the lion in this case, the lion wouldn't be able to fight back. The wolves would end up not having whatever they needed from them, and the whole chain of this complicated system would fall apart. I think self-love is looking at someone that you think to yourself is narcissistic, someone that you think is completely corrupt, or just whatever you think is the worst, whatever, and recognize that people don't wake up out of their bed in the morning and think to themselves, I want to do harm to people. I just want to see the world. Like, there's a very, very small percentage of people, even psychopaths on average, want people to do better, because if you're going to use people to your advantage, it's better that they are in the best, have the best capabilities that they're the healthiest. So self-love is looking at that person that you hate and think to yourself, maybe I don't know as much about that person as I should. Recognize that maybe they have that same perception of you, where they don't see all of the things you have to deal with, the pain that you experience, the past traumas, and whatever decisions that you have to make. It's kind of like the same love that a father has for his son, where his son, this idea of giving your kid to God, sacrificing your son after you got him. It's the idea that, look, I could protect my child and be there and give them everything, right? And completely spoil them to the point where when I get old and die, well, then now they're looking for Papa to help them out. Or I could set them up in a scenario where it might be dangerous, it might be harmful. And at the end of all of that trials and tribulations, what happens? They come out stronger, more capable, to the point where they're protecting themselves better than I ever could have. But in those moments, I had to do something that seemed harmful, painful, even dangerous. But maybe as a father, I could sit back and think to myself, okay, well, if it does get to a point, I'll step in. But at the end of the day, self-love is just to recognize that we're all humans. We all want to reproduce for the most part, eat food, have friends and family. People think that selfishness is like that we're all selfish, that if we got everything we wanted, we would hurt people. But I don't think that's true. So how many times you see a homeless person just get handed $1 or $2 out the window just because they asked? People are innately a lot more similar in the sense that, what you think about them, they might think about you. And you can project more positive emotions, more positive behavior, and they'll reflect that back on you. And you will feel better regardless. If Trump was here and you hate Trump, you think you're going to feel good when you argue at him, tell him all this stuff? No, at the end of the day, whatever evil stuff someone does, if you were to, at the very least, say, like, look, I don't agree with it, I don't understand it, I think it's wrong, but we're humans, we're breathing air, we're eating food. What is there something that we could both agree on, something that we both like? and joy, and build those connections. Because you're never going to have peace. You're never going to have community love if we're always casting out another, because they'll cast you back out as the other.
And Anthony, do you have the book of Aesop's Fables?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Journey?
Yeah.
Where's Journey gone? Has she fallen off?
I hope I didn't say anything that should make her run away. I'm not over here. I'm apolitical, by the way.
I think that she had to go. She had to go. No, but I do accept your points, Anthony. In that.
Was there anything you didn't accept?
You're there, right? Joni, I've ordered the book. I know you have to go. I ordered the book, so it's in your basket. Just make sure you choose my address, please. It comes from .co.uk to me, not from .com. Otherwise, you're paying lots of money. Sorry, Joni's book came out today. Let me welcome some more friends. Noni, Miss Pepperoni. Of course you can. Spencer, I see you too.
Aesop's Fables, what he is talking about. It's a wolf and a lion, and the wolf tries to steal a sheep out of the herd that the shepherd has, and then the lion, who's stronger, comes along and says, "That's not right. It's because you."
We've lost you. You lost your sound.
The audio.
Yeah, your sound suddenly disappeared. You're not muted. Go try again. Oh no, Joni, we've lost you.
Turn it on and off or toggle the device.
Yes. Now, guys, look, can I say that maybe it's a good time? Try again, Joni. No, still can't hear you. Let me play my video quick, and then let's hope for Joni sorts herself out. I might come to Zara. Of course, I see you, Zara. I see you there, my friend. I'll come to you right next. Let me play. No, it's a few minutes video. Ah, where are we now? Nearly past halfway. Okay, here goes. Now the two video go. Joni, try again.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I can hear you.
It's because everything connects to Bluetooth, and I don't know what it's connecting to. It's a technological nightmare.
It's fine.
But anyways, I have a book of Aesop's Fables that my parents had read to me, and I read to my kids. And the story that I think you're referring to, it's the lion and the wolf, but the wolf takes a sheep out of the shepherd's herd. And then the lion, who's stronger and like more valiant, is like, no, you can't take something that belongs to someone else. And the wolf is like, but I had the chutzpah to do it, essentially. And the lion like creates order by giving the sheep back and saying no. But it speaks to kind of greed, which is what I believe you were going for. But it is a classic fable, and if you do not own that, then get it. It has lots of really deep moral stories.
Well, that was a totally different. That was a totally different one.
Those are different. Okay, they're different. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we have to realize
the boy who cried wolf.
Some things are just innate human behaviors that they never grew out of. Like if you see a 3-year-old who just was like, "This is mine," and they're not acting in a way that is even self-preserving, where there's a little 3-year-old that'll just be so demanding and mean to me, but it's like you're asking me to do you a favor. Some people don't grow out of certain behaviors, and then also again, there's just certain situations that we don't understand because we think we're smarter than we are. Trust me, I've been there so many times. Like you think that like, oh my goodness, this is evil, the worst thing ever, and then you spend your time trying to destroy, just trying to do whatever you can to attack what you think is evil, and then you realize, wait a second, if you're successful at taking this out, what's the fallout? And you realize that maybe you would be the one that's evil if you were to try and stop what you see, because it's not so simple. If it was simple, we would have figured it out a long time ago.
Yeah,
you are absolutely correct about that. But I mean, honestly, there is a simplicity in being kind. There is a simplicity in being genuine. There is, and seeing all humans matter.
I think Anthony has a point, which I guess I didn't figure beforehand. I wonder if the rest of you did, which is that self-love doesn't lead to a world of peace and happiness, which I thought it would. I'm sure many of us would have thought it would, but it doesn't. It leads to self-interest. What's best for me is what I'm going to do. What helps me is what gives me joy is what I'm going to do. I'm not saying that, but then again, I don't know. Is that true, Sean? I'm not sure it's true. I think
No.
I have a question that I could ask. What about how do you compare adventure to peace, right? Like if I told you that you could live to 150 years if you sat inside of a closet with a hood over your head and got fed out of an IV, or you could live like 10 years, but you could do whatever you wanted to. There's a balance between humans wanting to continually progress and see change and the mistakes that happen along the way, the failed assumptions, the failed trials. It's the people who give up hope and become survival, and then we end up going us versus them again. What would you do to me if I threatened your child? Doesn't matter how much you like me now, right? Like you would pull my throat out.
If you're talking to our kids, I tell you,
Exactly.
Mama and their Papa Bears, they will turn up, and then that's always going to end ugly.
Well, what I mean is like when people try new things and they make investments and time and energy that don't work out, it hurts. And when it comes at the cost of someone at the lowest end who put everything in and they've got nothing, well, where do they go now? And what will they do to protect what's theirs, whatever they have? Because there's different types of love. I looked it up. There's 7 different, according to the ancient Greeks, they have like 7 different types of loves that are defined: passionate, romantic, deep friendship between equals, familial love, like natural affection, parent to child, unconditional, selfless love, right? Like people who will do whatever for those. There's a playful, flirtatious, practical, enduring love that grows over time, and self-love, right?
I would thought self-love was a mixture of all those types of love. Go and Sean, talk to us. I want to go to Zara.
So,
and I have to show my sponsors video, otherwise I feel I've cheated.
Into your point, Annie, you're right. Self-love it's possible, but as Anthony is so eloquently stating, my version of self-love is not necessarily the same as Anthony's or Michael's or Mike's or yours. I have a quote. I'm going to say the words, and then I'm going to leave you a second to guess who it is. Someone very, very notorious. I'll give you that clue. I've spent the best years of my life giving people the lighter pleasures, helping them have a good time, and all I get is abuse, the existence of a hunted man. This man was considered America's most notorious public enemy.
Really?
Is it Hitler?
Michael Jackson?
America's most notorious public enemy.
Hitler wasn't American? And Michael Jackson? I don't know. I have no idea. If anyone knows,
is it Kanye West?
Al Capone. Okay. I can see how.
That was part of the opening of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. He opened the story. I remember the first time I read this, I'm like, wait, did I get the right book? Like, is the cover on the wrong book? Because he opens up with a story about Two Gun Crowley facing off with the cops, like another notorious criminal. All of this to say, these guys thought they were meeting a need. They were doing what they thought was self-love. They loved themselves, and they were just trying to help their fellow man in their mind. So, yes, self-love doesn't promise peace and that we're all going to get along. But I think, Anthony made I love his metaphor, the story, the fable, whatever we want to call it. I love those because it is so true. I live by a precept that's every person that I encounter, is doing the absolute best they can with the resources they currently have available. When I look at everybody that way, it changes my perception.
Yeah.
Whether
I
it's
agree.
the guy on the road cutting me off or not yielding the right of way in a roundabout, and I'm just going like, what? Yeah, or firing off guns, and when my 7-year-old's running around the complex, not cool with that, but they're doing what they feel
He's
is right given their
He's joy. He's joy. So well said, Sean, says Felipe. Let me welcome Eugene. And I come to you, Zara. So, I like everyone to speak before, before I play my video. So, have I missed anyone? So, Eugene, welcome, welcome, welcome. Miss Pepperoni, and I have to welcome you twice because you are that special. I see Tracy's here as well. Thanks for joining us, all of you. I'm always amazed. I'm always humbled, but to have all of you in our event. I'll make sure I haven't missed anyone. Okay. Dr. CJ. I almost missed you. Welcome, Dr. CJ. So Mr. Pepperoni says, I'm confused. What are you going to ask him? Ask who? I don't know. Noni, help me out so I can understand and answer your question properly, right? Daniel, welcome as well. So Daniel's brother does software webinars and seminars and all sorts. So do connect with him if IT is your thing for sure. There's so many different comments. I'm almost lost my Coach Ashif. You made it at last, my friend. You made it at last. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. But let's go to Zara. So Zara's been here for a while. Zara, the mic is yours. Share with us, my friend.
Hello, Annie. So, Annie, I read a book called The Mastery of Love, right? Have you ever heard The Mastery of Love? So imagine, for example, you hear a knock at the door and you answer it. Someone comes to you and says to you, I have a pizza, right? You have nothing in your house. You welcome the pizza because you have nothing in your house. And, the person comes, whether the pizza is moldy, whether it's bad, whether it's whatever, you sit with the person and you eat it. But they condition you, right? Then imagine another scenario. You are answering the door again. When you answer the door, the second pizza is this. You have food in your house. Your house is full, right? Full of, the kitchen is completely full. The person comes in, yes? Yes, honey? No, you can hear the back.
Carry on,
Okay.
Zara. Carry on.
We lost you.
It's the fan. No, it's the fan. One second. It's the fan. Bear with me. Okay.
Are you sure it's not the woodpecker?
No, there's no woodpecker. But anyway, guys, imagine this. No, it's the fan. It keeps on muddling around with the door. But imagine, for example, you have everything in your kitchen and someone comes to you with a slice of pizza at the door. And this time you invite them in, right? Now, self-love is this. If someone comes to you with something that you do not have, you accept it, regardless of whether it's moldy, whether it's bad, whether it's whatever. But when you have love in your home and you have every type of food, every type of topping, you don't want a pizza. You allow the person to come in and that person sits and enjoys the food that you give them. Self-love, to me, is having a lot to give to others because you're already full. When people consider the idea of, okay, so love is conditioned upon what? If I have it, it's enough. It's unconditional. If I don't have it, it's conditioned upon the person who brings it to me. And I genuinely think Annie and everyone that's here, I think that when love is two, love either says to you, you have the pizza or you have the mold, depending on which one you want, right? That's what I wanted to say. I have a problem with my internet today, but Annie, you get it.
Yeah, it's all right. Deep thoughts, my friend, deep thoughts. Now, if you're thinking, hold your thoughts for a second. Let me play my video, so my sponsors, that it gets them on this worth. That's self-love, right? I think the self-love is thinking of others amongst other things, right? I think you have to make the world a better place whilst giving yourself the joy of the world. I think Felipe said it earlier, but it's by living your purpose. I don't know. I think it was Mike. I think it was you, Mike. So I'll come back to you, Mike, to explain to us what you meant by that for a second, right? Give me a minute, nearly 2 minutes.
My name is Donna Martin, and for those of you that might not be familiar with me yet, I am CEO of the Good Life Approach, and what I do is help people best to thrive in those micro moments, in those real-time moments when life happens and takes over. So this video is about me introducing you a bit to me and to what I've created in terms of the Daily Reset. This is burnout prevention course for busy individuals. Doesn't matter your profession, doesn't matter where you've come from, doesn't matter about your background, your knowledge, your skill set, any of that. What matters is where you are and where you are choosing to be. If you're somebody that is consistently coming up against it and allowing your external outer world to dictate your results, the Daily Reset will support you in bringing you back to your present moment and deciding intentionally how you choose to reset so that the impact of whatever's going on doesn't continue to impact your day. That's the power of mind shifting. That's the power of self-awareness. And that is the power of understanding who you are, how you operate in terms of your physical body function, your mechanical mind, and the spiritual soul side of you. This isn't magic, it's intentional manifesting. And those daily resets, those wins, those successes that you choose to create for your own version of the good life all start with simple, easy, go-to tools that are all packed inside the Daily Reset. Feel free, if this calls you, to check it out.
Go check it out. Hopefully, I don't know how you meant to scan if you're on the phone, but you can let me know. So send me a message. I'll happily share the link. I tell you what, I'm going to do it, and I'll do Donna a favor now. I'll share the link in the comments. And the link is in the comments space. I'll share the link in the chat now. So if you are interested, then please do check it out for sure. Let me do it on LinkedIn. That way I don't confuse it myself. Okay, right. Here's a question for everyone. I think we need to move this forward somehow, right? Is there a universal version of what self-love is? Is it like can we agree, all of us, this is what self-love is and how it helps us and helps the world? It looks like we can't. Please, someone speak. I don't mind doing. Yeah. I'll take that. I think that's as good an answer as we've had so far, right? In the absence of none, one is better. That's Zara is saying. And molded pizza is better than nothing, right? Let me put that on mute. Okay, so here's a link to the Burnout Reset for Busy Individuals course. Right. Okay, my job is done. Right. Sean, you're thinking. Sean, you're unmuted for a second. No, let me go to Sean. Sean, I'll come to you.
Well, this goes right along with the theme. Mold. Most people, you get food and it has mold, you're going to throw it away unless you're starving. And I didn't get to mention it earlier, but I was triggered by something Anthony shared. Each and every one of us, we can sit in our privilege or our position and say, I would never do that. I think self-love is realizing that I absolutely have the capability that if I was put in the wrong situation, the wrong set of circumstances, that I could and I might do that. I think that's the realization. The discipline is, you know what? I know my dark side. I know what I'm capable of, but I keep it under management.
Mm.
Self
Yeah,
leadership.
that's why I'm supposed this. I think that's why I'm just about discipline. It's about doing the right thing at the right time, like this. Is there a right thing at the right time? I wonder. Mike, you're muted earlier. Share with us. Now, where does this purpose thing come into the equation?
Purpose is giving yourself to a higher, something higher than yourself. Like I said, whether it's family, community, country, or globally. I do agree with Anthony and Sean about self-love can't be just towards yourself, because you live in a reality that's greater than yourself. We're built for community. We're social creatures. So if we're looking out for the best just for us, at the end of the day, that's not going to really bring us the best for ourselves. So that's where all of this, and this is why I'm saying this has to be towards something higher than ourselves, because otherwise, in essence, we can think we're doing the best for ourselves and really mess it up. So there has to be something that is not movable, that's not shakable. And I believe that's a divine. And if we're aligning ourselves to divine, and you could say it's divine nature, that's where I agree with Sean, what he said relative to that there's innate. I believe that we're created that way. We're created to love, if you will. Now you could say, well, that's just a random mixture of molecules and thought process, but I believe that there's a higher order to things, and that's where I agree with Anthony in that we have to understand that there are, for lack of a better word, there's a dark side or a light side. There's a good side and there's an evil side, and I 100% agree with both of them that we have to acknowledge that, because if we don't, we can trip over to the dark side or trip over the dark side without maybe even realizing it. Or like the frog in the water, we can get immersed in. And I really liked what Anthony said about looking at another and saying, I would never do that, or that person is irrational, or whatever the case, without first taking the steps to sit down and have what I call generative discussion and work towards what we have in common first, and worry about the rest. Do steel manning and star manning. Steel manning is when you take on their idea. Star manning is when you take on, as much as you can, the rest of their emotional makeup, and really learn. And I love the Covey thing about seek first to understand, then to be understood, because I don't know if we can love another or even love ourselves. I mean, I think we have to do a lot of self-analysis. And that goes back to what Anthony says about the dark side and the light side. Is I really think we have to know ourselves, but more importantly, I believe, because I believe in a divine, that there is a love that emanates from above, if you will, that doesn't change. We're loved unconditionally, and if we're loved unconditionally, we can accept that love, and then we can love others and love ourselves. I don't know how we do that if everything's shifting. If everything is just cultural and the culture shifts, there has to be some basis for this love and self-love, obviously. But I do believe that it comes from a transcendent source.
I agree with you entirely. And I said, Daniel, I love your comment. There are three people that we need to love in the world. That's me, myself, and I. I like that. No, but as someone says that, it sounds very egotistical, right? It sounds very me, narcissistic. It's about me. But I think I agree with you, Mike. Living our purpose is part of self-love. I think we have to know there's a greater reason we're in the world. As Sean, I would say, look, that many people guessed the answer to your question. Like I said, many people, 2 people did. I didn't. I don't watch films, right? Okay, now let me show you in a video. This is it's a longish video. It's 5 minutes thereabouts, a bit less than 5 minutes, right? What self-love really is. I'd love your take. You tell me what you think of what we're hearing, my friends. Here you go.
We are conditioned by society to believe that self-love is selfish. How many times have you stepped back from a commitment and instantly felt guilty? How often do you say no to someone and feel self-absorbed? Feeling this way is normal and totally understandable because society has led us to believe that prioritizing our own needs is selfish. But this is not true. Despite everything that society has told you, taking care of your own needs is one of the most important things you can do. Your health and happiness are yours to protect and maintain. Taking the steps to do so is never selfish. Number 3, self-love is not a rapid process. Think of the people you love most. Did it take some time to love them firmly and completely? When you begin to learn how to love yourself, it may take some time for you to feel it. Understand, though, that similar to loving other people, loving yourself is a process and a journey. It may not and probably won't happen overnight, and that's okay. Do you tend to dwell on your flaws? We want to remind you that your flaws are what make you unique. They're part of what makes you the wonderful human that you are. Number 4, self-love is important because it opens even more doors for you to give and receive love. Have you ever heard the phrase or versions of it where they say, love yourself first? It's true. The way you love yourself shows others how to love you. According to licensed marriage and family therapist John Kim from Psychology Today, forming a healthy relationship with yourself that is full of care, understanding, compassion, and healthy boundaries will help you achieve that kind of relationship with yourself and others. Number 5, uncovering the sources of healing can be difficult. Are you in the process of emotionally healing? If so, you should be proud that you're taking the steps to heal, for it isn't easy. Like self-love, healing not only takes time, but is also very complex. Unraveling possible years of buried trauma is daunting. If you become overwhelmed during this process, know that you aren't alone. Digging deep and healing from past wounds or reoccurring ones can be an overwhelming process. Part of self-love and practicing self-care is knowing when to step back in the healing process. Though it may be very tempting to keep pushing, remember that part of loving yourself is acknowledging your own boundaries. This is especially important in healing, in order to avoid uncovering memories and moments in ways that may wound you further. Number 6, self-love means giving permission to accept your own compassion. Have you ever noticed the negative connotation that surrounds self-compassion? Perhaps disguised as making excuses or feeling sorry for yourself. The truth is that one of the greatest sources of strength is being able to have kindness and compassion for your own experiences in life. We have this unfortunate quality to automatically blame ourselves when things go wrong. If you didn't get a job or get into your college pick, you tend to believe that you aren't qualified enough. If a friend is mad at you, you tend to blame yourself first, rather than objectively examining the situation. This could lead to lower self-esteem, more negative self-talk, and even self-loathing if it goes unchecked. Self-compassion is something that lives inside of you. Rather than suppressing it for the sake of others, the more you consciously accept the understanding and kindness you want to offer yourself, the more your self-esteem and confidence will grow. Number 7, self-love means following the yearnings of your own heart, even if that's not what others want. Have you ever felt obligated to do something because you were being pressured by others? To take up a certain hobby or go down a certain career path that you didn't want? While this complacency might seem to resolve differences and issues in the short term, it can leave you unfulfilled later on. Part of loving yourself is giving yourself the right to follow your own dreams and your own heart, no matter what others have to say. Those who judge you or impose their dreams on you also have their own chances to take. Your personal passions are strong and beautiful. They're unique to you. That which makes your heart sing is yours to cling to. You deserve to feel happy and fulfilled, no matter what others have to say. And number 8, self-love isn't always fun. Sometimes self-love is hard. It's doing what's best for you, even if it doesn't necessarily excite you at the moment. Self-love can be going to bed early when you know tomorrow is an important day, choosing to stay in so you can finish an assignment, or saying no to a loved one so you can have time for rest. You have sat down and are respecting your own boundaries, and that is a great thing. Sometimes, in order to love yourself, you have to prioritize what is best for you and make sacrifices. The sheer ability to do this confirms just how much you have your best interest at heart. What are your thoughts on self-love?
That's area. And does that make it any clearer? I wonder. I think from watching that, I guess everything we've said today counts. But for me, the ultimate is it's about self-esteem. It's about what I think in my head and what I say to myself. Whilst realizing that others will do what they do. Someone mentioned in the comments earlier, no judgments on others. I think that's part of it, right? And
I think compassion for others and compassion for yourself defines self-love pretty well.
I agree. But I will say, I reach out to a point that Sean and I talked about the other day on Monday in his show. I think living your vision is important. Again, I don't think anyone has a vision, apart from Donald Trump, maybe, to hurt others. I'm joking, Anthony. Ignore me, right? I'm British. If I was American, then you can hold it against me, right? But I think most of our vision is to make the world a better place. Our vision is to spread love, really. I believe that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think, it's even as the video said, we can see self-love as selfish, but it's not selfish. Genuine self-love, right? It's about helping, living our joy and using our joy to help others. That's my take. Please, Anthony, go for it.
If I could hit the other end of that, let's just assume you want to be selfish and you wanted to have as much as you could have for yourself. Well, you recognize right away that you don't want to do everything, but there's definitely things that you want to do or you like to do. Well, if I wanted to be as selfish for myself and get as much for myself as I could, then I want to make sure that everyone that's giving to me, or even that I'm taking from, in this case scenario, has more than they could ever have. Right? If I was a true selfish psychopath who just wanted to collect up all the gold I could, all the resources and everything, it would make sense to have it come from places that are full of resources and wealth, of knowledge, right? Even if it's something as simple as I want someone to build roads for me. I want the people building those roads to be the strongest, healthiest, happiest people that are there, the most invested. I want them to love what they do and wake up. It wouldn't even make any sense if I cared about myself to think I want to take everything from everyone so that way I can go and, make my own food, so that way I can go, or just have people who, are so distraught and have nothing for themselves that it doesn't make any sense. So there's no scenario where we don't get further in life by making sure that we invest in others, because that's the biggest investment we can ever make in life.
I agree. It is tempting to see the world as, for me to get, you have to lose. I think my version of self-love is there's abundance. I can get as much as I want, because there's so much of it in the world, and me getting does not mean you not having. Of course, there can be contradictions, Anthony. I get it, right? And I'm saying, if I'm late, I'm like, I'm late. Get over it. It might piss you off properly. Some people do get really pissed off, right? But I'm saying half the time I haven't killed anyone. And yes, I moved when I could move. So if I use Sean's show the other day as an example, I didn't leave the person waiting deliberately. I didn't do it to be mean, but I was doing what I was doing, and that's life, right? I don't know whether it's common for someone to be harmed by us looking out for ourselves and doing what's right for us. And I said, the day you don't turn up for work, yes, you're going to piss your employer off. Of course you are. You really are. I get it, but I don't know how to square that circle. The wise men on stage, if you have an answer, please feel free to share. Sean is always a wise one. Mike is another wise one. So do share with us. We're waiting for you, Sean and Mike. Mike is going.
What was the question?
Okay, so let's say I'm feeling tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, and I decide tomorrow I'm not going to work because that's what's good for me. I want to rest. I want to lay in. I want to lie. Call it what you like, right? I'm not going to work. My employer is going to be extremely pissed off. Of course they are. Maybe some customers have been let down because I haven't done. Are you with me? There's a knock-on effect, right? How do we square that circle? My self-love, my self-preservation, my needs that I'm meeting. If that conflicts with,
we square the circle, Annie, by creating a job environment that is resilient.
okay,
Because if I need to take personal time, if I'm burnt out, there's all sorts of knock-on effects to that too. And really, depending on what we're doing, this could be very serious knock-on effects. From a pilot or a train engineer or captain of a ship, this could be have a very serious impact. So, I mean, some of this really depends, but inevitably, I'm sorry, I'm gonna look towards the leadership to build a resilient environment where there's no single point of failure. Because if there is, I think you really need to rethink how that works. Because what if I get hit by a bus? In cyber, one of the things that is confidentiality, integrity, and the A stands for availability. So if my job can't be done because I'm not available, that's not resilience. Yeah. That's not a good position. That's, to me, how you square the circle. Now, when you're saying in and of yourself, I'm like, well, are you, again, if you are seriously ill, I don't think there should be a question. Like, I'm not going to drag myself into work, and again, I'm going to give suboptimal performance. And again, if my if my management doesn't understand that, or if I'm burnt out and I need a day off, that's why we create PTO or sick days. And I don't think it's realistic to expect 24/7, 365. So that's how I square that circle.
Yeah, okay, I'll accept that for sure. Anthony, I can see you died.
Yeah, I would like to add on. I think the way that we do this too is through open, honest, and direct communication, right? If somebody comes in late, instead of being pissed off at them, hey, you can't do this anymore, this is unacceptable. No, explain to them, look, this is what this cost us. Like, you provide this value when you're here. This is what we lost. Now, if you do this again, if there's whatever, then you're going to be less valuable of a resource, and it's going to have effects on you as well. So instead of just, getting mad and saying, don't do that, look, this is what it's going to cost us. And because I have self-love, I have to think about how to protect myself from you being late or, not reliable in some whatever way. And I have to prepare myself for that, which means you'll have less influence or less whatever. And it's equal to this amount. And you make the decision. Is that the relationship you want? Well, no, then if you're taking care of your self-love, then you'll do more to make sure that you're on time because you understand the impact that it has, not just on them, but how that'll impact you.
Okay,
but without honest communication.
Listen, I don't want to start another whole argument, which I probably will by saying what I'm going to say, Anthony. See, I may arrive late, but I'm going to stay later as well. And I'm going to work on my home. Now, judgment say, the days when we used to, and we'll still do it, I'm sure, judge people based on apparent effort. That's why I call it, right? Because in the office, you can see them working, they're typing, they're doing something, right? Whereas we've known for years, for generations, really, if you ask me, that we need to get people to do to do what they have to do and be honest about it, to be productive rather than appearing to be effortful. And I say, why do we work 9 to 5? I never understood it. I still don't understand it. Clearly, I don't. I missed it. Right? I'm saying, it's the results that counts. It's not the hour. It's not what time I get to. I don't need to be at work at 9. What the hell for? What for? I'd rather get to work at 12 and work till 12 than 9 to 5, which is shorter hours if you do the hours right. It baffles me.
It's just easier to control. Like if you're the one guy, the CEO, and you got to delegate to the vice president or the president, and then they got to delegate down and down. It's easier if everyone's here at the same place, dressed up the exact same way at the same time, and then walking.
I hear what you're saying.
You don't need that anymore. That was back when you had to stop at the side of the road and use coins to call somebody.
In reality, my self-love makes me work on my mastery. I can do more quicker. I can do more better. I can do more without, I don't conformity expectations, Sean. It killed me. I hate to work for anyone because I any time it's always been my life, always. Since I was a kid. Because I refuse to understand the logic you just explained to us. I never got it. No one ever got to understand. And even if they tried to sanction me, they realized I was the best employee. I was always a manager, so I was never, wanting to be lazy and not to do what I have to do. That's my personal take, and I'm sticking by it. Sean, talk to us. I see Sean thinking.
Well, I'm going to come at this from the parent angle again. Self-love says, I want to just veg out on the couch and watch Netflix. But I understand. So self-love is understanding I need a rest, but I also have responsibilities that I accepted. I have a child, so he needs to eat. Thankfully, it's still early, and dinner tonight, he wants Brinner, which is breakfast for dinner. That's what he calls it. So it's easy. I don't have a lot to do tonight because I'm a single parent tonight. But I think true when you really are truly practicing self-love, this is a balance, right? A lot of the reason we bring up self-love is for people who aren't taking care of themselves. They're too busy saying yes to everything because they're chasing after acceptance and value and worth. And it doesn't matter whether they're actually saying, I'll work the overtime, boss. Customer, I'll be there at 6 a.m. No problem. It's a balance. I'm going to show up as a business owner to meet with a podcaster because they're on the other side of the world, and it's the first thing in the morning for me. I barely had my coffee, but I'm making that sacrifice. So I think self-love is I'm okay making this sacrifice to reach my goal, to follow my calling, my purpose, my responsibilities. But it's like the airplane, right? Put your mask on first, because if you're going, you're no good to nobody.
As a younger person here, how do you always know what the cost of something is, though, right? I have this thing I used to say: better to show up late with a diamond in your back pocket than show up earlier on time with shit stains in your underwear, right? Like if I show up on time, but I'm texting my wife about some argument that we're trying to resolve, and I'm half-assing this, I'm half-assing that, and they both go. This gets me upset, so I get upset, I bring it here. This is upset, I bring it here. What if I just nailed it down for an hour, and now we're better than ever? I show up an hour late, but my head is in the game. I'm here to make up for whatever loss. Sometimes that's one option, but otherwise, also, there's a lot of opportunities that I see where it's like you don't always know what the cost is, like what the reward is, or what how do you rate or balance things that you've never acquired before, And there's all the options available in the world right here at the fingertips, So how do you know what it is that you're that you're giving up when you don't put that commitment in.
You don't. 57
Yeah.
years, you
I
don't.
wish I had an answer, man.
You know,
No.
honestly, I
When
don't think
I
if
make a decision, I have to make the decision. And I think being an adult, being a aligned, self-loving person, I understand, like, hey, you know what? I spent the extra hour to finish that situation at home, get it all squared away, or at least calm down. So that, like you said, because if I'm trying to do my work with a client or whatever, and I'm still thinking about that shit stain, as you said it, I'm not.
I'm sorry, cursing is not okay.
It's like it's like I'm an ex-sailor, so that doesn't bother me. Actually, I think I had a coaching exchange call the other day, and I think I might have offended the other person, but my self-love is like, this is who I am, and if you like me, great, we can work together, we can do magic together. If you don't, sure, there's somebody that will line up with you perfectly. I'm not for everybody, and I'm not trying to be for everybody. I did most of my life trying to be for everybody, and it didn't work, and I'm done.
Yeah.
And authentic, being real with yourself, like, this is who I am, this is the way I talk, this is the way I act, and I do it with a heart of service and love. I love everybody, and I think that shows, because you can't BS that. Authenticity is not vomiting online about all your dirty laundry. I remember the early Facebook days. They had the basket picture, the laundry basket. He goes, this goes here, not on Facebook and social media. But still today in 2025, we have so much, everybody's airing their dirty laundry on even LinkedIn today. And it's like,
yeah.
Come on, love yourself more than that.
So for me, it's not even, sometimes what I want is to give and to receive as much as possible. And so I don't even really see it as a lack of authenticity, because there's a lot of times where, for instance, if you're talking to someone that's extremely, extremely left or extremely, extremely right, they can get very triggered where fight or flight, their brain shuts off. Sometimes you just, you pull out an olive branch and it's not how I would talk. But then after I give it to them and they're stuck holding it, then I can download all sorts of stuff, which is what I really cared about. So that's all I think. It's like, if I don't want to lose anybody because I said or did some small thing, when it's like, no, my desire was greater than that. But I myself too much.
It's look.
I love it.
I said, just find your happiness, find your peace. That's what this is about, really. It's about not castigating ourselves, not being our own jailers, not causing ourselves trauma unnecessarily. That's what it comes down to for me, anyway. It's living my happiness, and often that's not about other people, unless when I have to interact with people, I want to serve. As we've said in the comments, I have many amazing comments today, my friends. Jeannie, I just sent you the link to the course. If that's what you're interested in, if that's what you're asking for. Yeah, so if it's not, let me know. So we're connected anyway. So
I think she wanted the video you shared, Annie, the one about the psychology one, the animated video with the psychology.
So the self-love stories, the 8 steps.
I think communication is self-love. I think communication is self-love. Saying what you have to say when you need to say it, maybe even especially saying the things you're afraid to say, but opening yourself up to people. When it comes to, again, the scenario we're talking about with being able to, basically the zero, what's it called? We're talking about the idea that if I get my win, then you don't get to win. I think most people agree that the most valuable resource that there is information. What you know is more important than anything. You can have all the money and resources, but if you don't know, and the one thing about what you know is that you can trade it, you can just give it away and you don't lose any of it. And then when you give it to them, they use it as a tool to get more information that they can then give to you. And so
Yeah.
it's the one resource that it's unlimited. It can
Yeah.
spread
Exactly.
faster than anything, and it's the most valuable resource. And there's really no point in hiding ourselves. It's hard though, especially with the
No,
culture.
It is. I think we'll make it hard. It doesn't need to be so hard. I think. No, I think zero sum game we're talking about there, right? It's nothing's a zero sum game. It's rarely the case. Nothing is. Everything is. I think I love Mike's point earlier. You see, big companies create redundancy. They want they're people who are there who do nothing. They just waiting to pick up the slack. Availability called it, right? When a small business, those people don't exist because if I don't do it, if you don't do it, I'm paying you. I go do it myself. I'm cussing. Now I'm like, you're fired. Self-love, yes. Gone wrong. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Sean. Let me welcome Dr. Angela. Welcome, Dr. Angela. Love talking about love. We do. Go, Sean. Sorry.
So I was going to say that part of the self-love is, and I kind of lost. What were you talking about before, Anthony? You were talking about self-love is looking to come to the best end of like I heard it in marriage counseling and stuff. Do you want to win her heart or do you want to win the argument? And I think when we're dealing with people, if we go in with a heart of love for ourselves and love for them, right? Yeah. If I have a full cup and my cup does not have a leak, if I don't have self-love, my cup has a leak. So all that I pour in there is just going to fall out the bottom, and I'm not going to have anything to give anybody. Like my water cup is empty right now. But if I'm loving myself, my vessel is sound. So when it's full, it will naturally overflow onto others. And one of my favorite things that I've ever had to use, and I've used it several times in my life, let's just agree to disagree. Like, we don't need to carry this out. Let's both love ourselves. We don't need to carry this out. It's not serving either of us to prove that I'm right or you're right. What does it matter?
There's no
Let's
win.
Let it go.
There's no win.
There's no.
I worry that the agree to disagree becomes like this cop out sometimes, where people are so emotional that they just say, forget, let's just drop it. But it doesn't get dropped because I still feel what I feel. You still feel what you feel. So it's
no,
Anthony.
No,
I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes.
I don't feel. I'm not bothered by anything.
Well, not you. But like, for instance, the cup of the whole are an example, right? If someone sees me leaking, right? But for whatever reason, other people are pouring into me so much because my leak is also filling up another cup. For instance, other people have their issues and they see you as this, look at this person that's able to do all that. They see all the perfect Instagram type photos, but they don't see themselves or path to that level. They don't see how they can get there because they don't recognize that they are flawed just like you're flawed. And so I think just as much as you can open yourself up to the world is as much as you can just be comfortable with yourself, because how are you going to judge me for something I showed you? I gave you that. You can't hurt me with it. I let that be free. And while I do that at whatever level I'm at, others who are at a lesser level that are worried they don't have what it takes can recognize that we're not these perfect little thumbnail, perfectly edited video with the makeup and the filters that they think we are. We are all humans, and the CEO or the vice president or whatever fails at his position, other people in the company should know, not just because to judge him, but like maybe there's someone there that can learn and be like, you know what, I can pick up the slack on that. He was just going to talk about whatever, learn the speech, become a really good presenter. And maybe now they're spreading that person's message to 2 or 3 times as many people. And then if he ever falls out, you have that redundancy. But we can't do that until we're ready to expose ourselves, to walk around naked. You can't pickpocket a naked person. Everybody.
Right, but as I shared earlier, Maya Angelou said, if someone who doesn't have self-love, I don't believe it if they say they love me. there's an African proverb that says, "Don't accept a shirt from a naked man," or something like that.
Okay.
Like, watch out for the naked guy offering you his shirt, right?
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
It is a fine line. You're right. There is and the other thing is we live in a world today, the climate I see today, Anthony and Annie and Mike and anybody else that's still here, is so many are rushed to judge. The CEO, like we saw it, the Coldplay concert thing, everybody was all over them, jumping on them. Oh, that's so like, you're right. It's a very, very fine line. Like, you want to be honest and you want to create the culture in your circle that I can be honest. Like, you know what? Like, today sucked. I haven't fed my kid and my wife's not here. I sent her away to a hotel to try and get her to grow her big girl panties a little bit and, stand up and be an adult and heal from some old stuff. But that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Do what's meaningful, not expedient. Like
right. You gotta look at, is my share? I always said it's all about motivation. Why are you sharing that? Are you sharing to elevate yourself? Are you sharing to say, look, you know what? I'm human. I screw up just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time, cut me and I bleed, hurt me, say mean things and I hurt.
Yeah, generally, I think people will hide things to elevate themselves. It's something that Dr. Jordan B. Peterson was mentioning about parents fighting in front of kids that really got to me. He was saying, it's not necessarily bad to have an argument or to fight with or not a fight, but like an argument or whatever in front of your kids, if what they see is you actually resolving that and growing and getting past it. Now, that's way better than hiding the fight from them. If you're just fighting just to whatever, but if they can see two people who disagree and are in an emotional state, and then they somehow come to a point where they can reconcile that, show each other love, appreciation, and then move past that, that's a lesson that can only be taught when you're willing to expose yourself. But again, I guess maybe you don't expose aspects of yourself that you yourself are. Don't expose aspects of yourself that are so unfleshed out that you're looking for other people to help, because I guess other people, especially the more elevated position you are in, people who are looking up to you see those flaws and they just think, okay, well, that's okay to be like that. So maybe having enough self-knowledge to know about yourself and to know what you're willing to work past and what you can work past.
Yeah, my friends.
Yeah, I shared this recent. Share from your scars, not your actively bleeding wounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Heal yourself first. Look, I love so many of the comments. Vincent, you must come over from Vincent. So self-love is about taking accountability, doing the right thing for us and for others. I think that's what that means, right? Coach Ashley, this is a good place to leave it, I think. We'll spend most time with ourselves. Take care of yourself in terms of what we say to ourselves, what we do to ourselves, and how we let ourselves be. I tell you, that's what self-love really means to me. It's a great conversation. I thank you all. There's a free self-love book on YouTube. I'm a great audiobook fan, so I love to listen to books. So Jeannie, this might help. I can't share the video with you. Well, I'll share the link. I'll put a link in your DM, Jeannie. Hopefully you can then watch it from there. But now this is a link to the free book on self-love. It's a couple of hours long. It's quite informative. So do check it out. It's free, right? That's what YouTube's there for. So I love YouTube books. Do have a look, my friends. Look, I'm sure we could talk about this all day. We really could. Now, Sean, you're a star, my friend, as always. Anthony, I'm glad you joined the studio. Mr. Calm, you've been too quiet. Where you're calm, right? As always. Oh, he's there.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love listening to you guys talk. Oh man, my brain is just on fire. Just woo. Thank you very much for coming on board. Really.
Yeah. Right. It's Vincent said, "Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you like. No, but you also had the conversation as well. So you're part of the gems I would share." Vincent said, "I think self-love is actually selfless." Yeah, in a kind of way, right? I think it's having that joy in your soul, that good intention in your soul, and realizing that it's not dog eat dog. It's abundance for everyone.
You're right, though, Annie. Vincent, you need to get Vincent on the stage, man. He's dropping these
we
little
really
gems in the comments.
It's been the best. It's been the best to you, so you can be the best for others. I love that. I really do. I say, Coach Ashley will say, taking care of yourself is the most important, the most powerful way to begin to take care of others. It is now. So, but no, let's be mindful what we say to ourselves and how we choose to be. And of course how we treat others as well. That all counts, right? Look, let me thank you, Sean, Anthony, Calms, all those who've been on stage. The 2 minutes to mention Joni, so Mike. Thank you so much, everyone, and those who joined us as well. So Vincent for sure, because Ashley always a star. Kenny, why Kenny, not Kanye today, right? That's a good thing, I think. So Dr. Again, Dr. Angela as well. Say if you need to watch a replay, let me know. I send you my YouTube link. If you're watching on replay, even better. So like my channel, like Sean Michael's channel as well. I don't know how he's going to share his YouTube channel. You can put it in chat. Otherwise, you're welcome to like my channel and comment on the video, like the video, and subscribe. Always.
Yeah,
thank you
subscribe to Annie.
And Sean. Sean's been the bashful as always, right? We'll need more. We need more subscribers. We need more followers. Joni, thank you for sharing the different types of love, all of them, in the comments. Eros, there's many other ones, right? So goodness me, I love all of you, my friends. Enjoy your evening. So Sean, go and feed your kid, please. I don't want your kid being taken off you, not today anyway, right? And I don't want your kid holding against us.
He's been engrossed in his kids' YouTube, watching his favorite show. He's oblivious, but I'm gonna go feed him.
you do that, my friend. Look, thank you so much. Lexi,
but I also agree. That comment. I want to comment too on that.
Yeah,
I think Anthony was sharing about it. Actually, the parents hiding their disagreements from the kids. That's kind of not you think they don't hear, they don't know. I'm a child of divorce. I knew it all.
They do.
I knew what was going on. They know. But as you shared, Anthony, if they see their parents working through it, even if it gets hard, that is going to impact them more than
they know they can do it,
hiding it from them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We are and a leader in the workplace is the same thing. I just did an article on this, that as a leader in your home, a parent, a leader in your business, or a leader at work, people don't follow your rules, they model your behavior.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're just a mirror of where we're making the mistakes. Right? If people won't be open with you, it's usually because they saw you rip somebody's head off over something, and they're like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's true. And after this point about communication as well comes in there, right? Lexi, thank you so much. Lexi and I, our first room is on Friday. Do join us. We're going to talk about how to support people who have been sexually exploited, abused, and what's trafficked. That's what Aspire Light does. So do
my dog.
For sure. Thank you, everyone.
My dog's freaking out. He wants to go outside.
I'll let you go. Enjoy your evening, guys. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Thank you so much. So back in 2 weeks. Enjoy your evening for now, right? Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Celebrating with or without champagne or rum. Achieve success with global.media.com.